Good morning. I'm Dr. F. Etzel from Maxillofacial Surgery Department of Mugambika Institute of General Sciences. And today's topic for discussion is transport distraction for reconstruction of maxillomandibular continuity defects. And this is for any defect which is caused in mandible, because it may be because of any trauma, any tumor, or any defects secondary to any surgery that can be reconstructed with this modality of transport distraction. So, reviewing the history, this is Dr. Elizarro. He's the first man who did it in limbs. So, henceforth, it is called as Elizarro distraction in orthopedics and a very common phenomenon. And Constantino in the year 1990 is the first one to do this transport distraction in canine mandibles. And that is later confined to the oral region in our maxillofacial surgery. So coming to bone distraction, this is a phenomenon that creates both the bone and the soft tissue. So as you see in the diagram, there is a small segment which is with the premolars present, and that is what we call as disc. So there is the in between space. This is a defect which is being already in the mandible, that is of any reason of tumor, trauma, or any prior surgery. And this is a disc that we take, which is a normal bone, and this is moved along the opposite side. And as this moves and covers, there is bone forming behind this as a disc moves, and the bone is also being formed with the normal vital structures as with the gingiva and everything is exactly formed. And this is the most important phenomenon change that is between transport distraction and with other distraction, other modalities of reconstruction. So the biology behind this is that there is two segments. One is the recipient bone segment and another is the transport bone segment. So the donor is from the donor when the transport disc is being moved, and it is moved until it docks with the recipient segment. So the force, which is yellow in color, it is the distraction force, which is between the donor segment and the distraction disc which is being taken. And between the disc and the recipient segment, it is called transformational osteogenesis. And types of bone distractions are, number one is bone bifocal, where only one segment or one disc is being moved. And number two is trifocal, where two discs are moved. And the third one is tetrafocal, where three discs are moved away. And there can be also penta and etc. based on the number of discs which we are using to transport. So there are two forces or two compression and distraction forces which act. And then the first diagram here, it shows you this is a bifocal distraction, and this is the second one is a trifocal distraction. In bifocal distraction, as the transport disc is being moved away from the bone, there is a distraction force which is acting between the disc and the bone, and that is initiated in blue in color. And there is a compression force towards the docking side and the disc. And then trifocal distraction, where there is two discs which are traveling towards each other, and the compression force is in between these two, and the distraction force is between the discs and the bones. So there are a few important considerations which has to be taken into consideration while planning distraction and osteogenesis. Number one is the major concern, which is periosteal preservation. As the bone supply to the disc has to be maintained, there should be a small incision made with minimal periosteal reflection, and during which abundant irrigation is a must, and a watertight closure has to be assured to prevent any damage to the disc. And while planning any disc, while creating a disc, we have to make sure that the menton and gonian angle is in a plane, and to that 90 degree, the distraction disc is to be created. Here is it. This is the bone where it goes and docks. This is the recipient bone. So as it is being cut together, see, this is the menton and gonian angle, and to that 90 degree, this disc is to be created, and this can be moved. So what are the advantages of bone transport? Number one is that actually we don't need any specialists, and we are maxillofacial surgeons can allow do this. And the duration of surgery is minimal, as we do not need a donor site, which means in other modalities of reconstruction like a fibular graft, you need the secondary donor site to be, it's treated as such a trauma or a fracture heals in the fibula. So there is no duration is minimal, and it is cost effective as only maxillofacial surgeons do. There is no need of other specialists, and no bone grafting is done. And as I said, there is no donor site morbidity. And the main difference is that the alveolar ridge and the attached mucosa, the buccal lingual sulci, is only created with restriction osteogenesis and no other modality. Only the bone is being reconstructed, and it is being covered up with the remaining structure which is present there. But only in restriction osteogenesis there is, and the histogenesis, here happens the recreation of alveolar ridge, attached mucosa, buccal and lingual sulci. And indications, and this can be done in as a primary reconstruction in cases of trauma, in cases of any tumor, in case of any ablative surgeries. To reconstruction the bone along with the defect, this can be always used. Whereas this can also be done as a secondary reconstruction where already done fibular or any reconstruction is failed or any defect is being left without reconstruction. This can also be taken as a secondary procedure. And there is a study which has been which says that it can also be done in irradiated mandible and also in children. And limitations to bone transplant, we say is that the height of the bone or the bone length, it matters. And when there is no adequate height, what has to be done is initial bone grafting is to be done, and then later the bone can be distracted. So classification of mandibular defects, we have central and lateral. And central, we again classify into symmetrical and asymmetrical. From the incisor, we take into account and it can be central or asymmetrical. And in lateral, anything posterior to the premolars we call straight, and anything prior to that is called arc. And varyingly, the distracted devices vary. In vectors, we have two body vectors, two parasaphysis and one symphysis vector. And this, anything constructed, as I showed you, anything constructed beyond the premolar or distal to the premolar is straight, and anything prior is arc. So in reconstruction of central defects, we have two things to follow. One is, if it is symmetrical, then we go for a trifocal distraction where only two segments from equal distances are being targeted towards the center. Whereas in asymmetrical defects, tetrafocal or higher number of discs are being transmuted based on the equation proportionally towards the distance to be traveled. And reconstruction of lateral defects, we have a bifocal for a defect posterior to the premolars, and again trifocal or arc can be considered for defects prior to the premolar. And these are few devices which are being used. One is the bar distractor or the stride for a stride reconstruction. And this is an intraoral bar distractor which can be used for an arc distractor device. And we also have an extraoral device which can be used for both for arc and for intraoral reasons. And pre-surgically, what are the investigations we need is a panoramic radiograph. The next is the computer tomogram. And after getting a computer tomogram with permissibly with 1.5 size DICOM cut, we can get a stereolithographic model in hand, and we can do a mock surgery, and prior to that, and we can plan with the distracted device. And the clinical, these are few cases where the clinical appearance of regenerate is being seen post distraction, and radiologically the distraction is being seen as this as a radiolucent area where there is a region of fibroblastic activity, and there is a formation of collagen parallel to the distracted device. And this is a CT view of a distracted bone. And the same thing is being confirmed with ultrasonography. And this is one defect which is being taken into consideration. This is an ameloblastoma, which is of a length of 65 millimeter, and we are planning it to be distracted posteriorly towards about some 45 millimeter. And this is an immediate post-op where the distracted device is being attached, a stride distracted device is being attached. And this is after completion of distraction. You can see the premolar segments in the region of the molars, and this is the amount of distraction that has taken place. And this is a well-formed ridge. You can see well-formed ridge beautifully with the buccal and lingual sulcus formed here. And after a year, dental implants are being given and the patient is being reconstructed with dentures. And this is the OPG of the radio distracted bone with the implants in it. And what are the complications that we can expect in distraction? Number one is the misdirection of the vector, which means we plan the distracted device to travel in a position and it can go wrong. It can go in sagittal or in coronal. And number two is hypertrophic regenerate. That means the distracted regenerate is not that good, that it is very small. And in that cases, we can use PRF, that is being PRF and PRP, where PRP is being injected to the, it can be injected to the bone or the callus which is being formed. And drifting of teeth sometimes it's not taken into a relapse in very few cases in midline consolidation. And here we are very much bothered into the sagittal coronal deviation and midline consolidations. And this sagittal deviation can be done with a procedure called as callus molding, and that can be plated, where whatever the difference which is there can be taken up, and that can be sectioned again, and that can be put into place with a plate, and it can be healed. And this is a healed callus with reconstruction done and plated, and then under IMF. And this is a coronal plane deviation, again that can be corrected. And lingual consolidation, for lingual consolidation, we do again a lingual osteotomy, and that can be taken into consideration. And again to say at the last is that with all this, so many advancements in our maxillofacial surgery care procedures, there are so many methods to reconstruct, which includes grafts, which includes microvascular grafts. But this distraction osteogenesis is the only procedure which we maxillofacial surgeons alone can do. Along with it, the added advantages is there is no morbidity or any fracture cost in a different site to take a donor. And number three, and the last is this is the only maneuver that can be done or procedure that is done to reconstruct all these structures, including bone, alveolar region, ridge, sulci, and the periosteum. And with this taking into consideration, kindly learn about this distraction osteogenesis, and we'll meet in the next classes. Thank you.